We are live. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Nehan. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, it's so lovely to see you. This is the first time we're talking face to face.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Great.
How have you been? How was your day?
It's an intense time of year, and I think in our business especially. So not only are we extraordinarily busy and coping with a lot, but we're coping with clients who are extraordinarily busy and coping with a lot. So
Yeah.
interesting. Mm.
So how do you work with that? Like how are you dealing with that in terms of keeping yourself sane and centered?
I suppose in 3 words: cycling, yoga, and meditation.
Love it. I love it. You have it all down. You have it down, huh?
But I'm really passionate about my job, and I get great fulfillment from it as well. So it's intense, but it's what I choose to do and what I love doing. So I think that always helps us navigate the tougher times.
That's so true. And that's actually a great segue into what we're going to talk about today, which is creating castles through coaching. And I just loved this concept of creating your own castle, and that particular line from your trainer, from your coach trainer, right? The one who imparted this
Yes,
coach training to you. The
yes.
lead trainer said, Colleen, it was like you stepped into a house that you had always owned, but you didn't know it was yours. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps again as I'm saying it. Uh, yeah, it's so beautiful. So, th- Hi everyone. I'm Neha, and I'm joined by the lovely Dr. Colleen Lightbody. We are going to be talking today about creating castles through coaching. So, Colleen, I'll let you take it away from there. What is a castle? What does it look like? How do you create it? How do you help your clients create it? Just
Sure.
dive right into the deep end.
I think I came up with that sort of title when I was asked to do a talk for the Mumbai ICF actually, and or actually to write an article for them, and I sent you that article, and I think that I mean I don't have a defined business about castles. I don't use the metaphor of a castle a lot in my business, but really it was they wanted me to tell my story. And I guess my story, if I'm telling my story to a coaching audience, it's well, I suppose even to a non-coaching audience, my story is centered in how my life profoundly changed when discovering the profession of coaching, and when I was 40 years old. And I mean, 40 years old to some people, I guess, is quite late. Even if I think of it now, I think, wow, that's quite late. But how it's okay to have discovered something that you're good at and something you're passionate about and something that you're proud of so late in life. Because I was never proud of what I did before. I didn't believe in myself. It's okay to find it so late in life. And not only is it, are you just going to do it, whatever it is that you find and that you're passionate about, but you can actually make it magnificent and beyond your wildest dreams as well. So I think that's what the castles really is all about.
Yeah, yeah, wow, that's amazing. So, what was it like before then? What was life like before? And maybe you can even touch on what changed after you started
Yeah, I was
coaching.
actually funny. I was reflecting on it today because I belong to a writers group, and the question that has been posed for our meeting tonight is if you could invent a fantasy land, what would it be? And the thing that came to my mind, and I'm just making these connections now as we talk. The thing that came to my mind is I would make this time travel capsule, and I would allow the 40-year-old human to go and visit the teenage version of themselves, to give them compassion and to share wisdom and perhaps even to share a symbolic gift with them. That if somebody had come to, if I had come to me when I was 15 or 16 or 18 and said it's going to be okay, you will make it. You know, you have got capacity, you have got competence, you can live an amazing life. I think it just would have been such a gift to me because I had to struggle for 40 years before that, finding self-worth, finding confidence, But I guess in some ways as well, it's made me who I am as a coach, is that I am very compassionate towards my clients, towards people, about how we limit ourselves just through our conditioned narratives, the stories that we're told, the cultural norms, and that are sort of thrust on us through our early childhood, through our adolescence, through our early years, the societal expectations that actually stop us from becoming the people that we really are, from living, I call it living your truth. So yes, I mean, in some ways, I thought, okay, it would have been such an amazing gift to myself, but at the same time, I had to travel the tough journey to be a good coach. I had to walk the walk, in a sense, to have credibility and also to believe in my clients, because I can see what transformation is possible for people because I walked it.
That's powerful. Yeah, I think I've just started my coach training this week, by the way, and it's super exciting to be on this journey. And I think in the first session we discussed, like, all of us shared a little bit about what is required to get from point A, which is like where we are right now, to point B, which is like what we want to get out of this program, or what we think. We called it the universe questions, right? So like, what does the universe want you to be at the end of this
Yes,
coaching program?
yes, yes,
And that distinction was so important, as to like, what does the universe want you to be? And it's like,
yeah,
what is the thing that is going to be so beautiful and magnificent, not just for yourself, like I have this castle. No, but a castle is beautiful even if you don't live in it, even if it's not yours. And I think walking the talk that you mentioned, like that is a topic that came up over and over again. People said, we need to, in order to
okay.
get to where we want to be, we need to practice it. We need to just practice
Mm,
it, practice it, practice it. So
absolutely.
what exactly is it that we are practicing? Is that too broad a question?
Wow. What is it? And I think it is something that's completely intangible. I think it is something that is completely personal. Sometimes it's elusive. Sometimes we see it in the distance. Sometimes we're suddenly experiencing it and we own it. So I think the sort of mythical it that we're looking for is it can't be defined. But perhaps you say, what does the universe want from you or want you to be? I'm always saying to my clients, what is it that you were put on this earth to be and do? What is your spiritual philosophy and your spiritual obligation to be the best that you can possibly be on this earth? And it's unique to everybody. Nobody is you're not supposed to be something, or we're born with our own unique values and capabilities and personalities and brains, and
Yeah.
it's about discovering that. It's discovering, and I don't believe that we can kind of, I know it's maybe wrong for a coach to say that, but you can say, this is the goal, this is the kind of coaching practice I'm going to have, these are the clients, and this is how much money I'm going to earn. I know that's contrary maybe to what a lot of coaching is, but I think it is an evolving process as well. I think if I tried to define who I was going to be as a coach 16 years ago when I learned how to coach, I think I would have limited what was possible. And the other thing with coaching as well is it's so expansive. It opened so many doors. I mean, Neha, the truth of the matter, and I spoke about this for the first time in 2015 in Hyderabad in India on my first TED talk, when I actually said that for 20 years before that, I was a beauty therapist. I worked from home. I had a little beauty salon, and I loved the humans I worked with, but I hated the job, and I had no self-respect. It wasn't something that resonated with me. It wasn't something I really enjoyed doing. I kind of just did it because I never knew anything else. But then I discovered coaching, and out of coaching then emerged so much else. I'm now a writer, a trainer, a facilitator, a mentor. I do group coaching, I do team coaching, I do executive coaching, I do life coaching, I do sports coaching. It's kind of it's just evolved into so much of a rich experience. that if I think I'd defined myself and worked solidly towards a concrete goal, I might not have been open to other opportunities. So it's almost like trust the universe as well. You know, you got to play the game together, I guess. You know, I'm here and I'm present, and you know, allow the universe to show up. It's that, you know, it's kind of The Secret, the Rhonda Byrne book or video, which kind of says you just have to think about what it is that you want and it will appear. I prefer kind of more stoic philosophy, which is, yes, think about what you want. Allow yourself to be expansive about what it is that you want, but take action as well to get there. It's not just going to appear. Yeah. I think we're getting philosophical today.
No, I love it. I think this is what we need, right? This is this is why we are here, and for you to share your philosophies, you know, and then for me to, you know, absorb all the knowledge. Okay, so when you speak about, it sounds like you coach many different people from many different walks of life, right? And this is what I read in your article as well. And you've just mentioned there are athletes, you know, maybe there's the sports coaching, which is more of a, I guess, maybe 10 years ago, if someone heard the word coach, they probably thought sports coach, you know. So you've done that. You do life coaching. There are other types of coaching. What are like some common threads that you find within, like interwoven between them?
So basically, I'm coaching human beings, and obviously because I'm a neuroscience expert, my subject matter expertise is in understanding how people's brains work and helping people leverage their brains optimally. I guess I could say that's what's the common thread: is I coach human brains to, you know, to be better, to work the way they're supposed to work, instead of in those conditioned, hardwired narratives that so limit us, that we were talking about earlier. But not all coaches. I think a lot of coaches do niche themselves, and I think that's great. You know, especially if you have lots of experience and a good network and subject matter expertise, or an interest in a particular area. I think I'm certainly not saying one shouldn't niche oneself. And I guess my niche, in a way, is helping people discover their subconscious and unconscious limiting narratives, and helping them discover what is possible and what is their purpose, what is their truth, helping them discover. Most people don't even know what their own personal philosophy is. You know, what are the guiding principles that will stand you in good stead no matter what is happening in the external world? Never before, I think, has it been more important for people to have a personal philosophy than now during COVID, where you can anchor yourself, because people, you know, if we're sort of being positive about the future and thinking, oh, well, everything's going to be fine, that's crazy, because we don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So instead of being positive about the future, what I'm positive about, what I'm optimistic about, is my guiding principles, my life philosophy will stand me in good stead no matter what happens externally, and has done, because I've certainly been through a large amount of trauma in my life. But when you find out what is it that you're made of, who are you truly, that is completely unique, and then you step into that state, you step into that way of being, then you're infallible. And if you do fail, it's fantastic, because that's an opportunity to learn and grow.
Oof. I just got goosebumps again. It's yeah, it's not the distinction that you're making, as I hear it, is like, it's not saying, oh, everything will be all right. It's saying, even if everything is not all right, I will be okay. And not only will I be okay, I might actually grow and learn from it and evolve from it. And not might, I will. Yeah.
And also to be an acceptance of what is. You know, we trying to run away from pain. We try to run away from disappointment. We're trying to run away from failure and sadness and frustration. We're trying to run away from these things because we've decided that they're intolerable and they're not part of, that they shouldn't be part of our existence. But I think that is a large part of the pain that people are actually suffering from, is trying to run away from the pain, as opposed to learning how to be present with whatever the circumstances are with their own inner strength and wisdom that everybody has. We just are not taught always to access it. I don't think many cultures are teach children and adolescents to access their own wisdom and to trust themselves and to live in the present moment. I think it's rare. Certainly in the West, I think it is. But actually, I work so much in India, and certainly in India, most Indian people that I know say the same thing. They're not brought up to discover self. And that's a big part of coaching for me, is the discovery of self. I think for personal mastery, we were brought up, well, I was brought up with a beautiful, loving, adore her to bits British mother. And you certainly were not supposed to think about yourself, And so this is not about being narcissistic. It's not about being self-indulgent, but it is about being self-aware and self-discovery is absolutely, in my opinion, an absolutely critical step or teaching or learning or growth point in personal mastery.
Right. And I also want to, you're talking about self-awareness and self-discovery. I also want to just kind of grab onto another term you use, which is trusting yourself, and actually maybe being present with yourself. I would even go so far as to say loving yourself, understanding yourself, and then moving on to the loving yourself part. And I think that's where maybe that's like beyond anything we've ever heard of, even much less conditioned to do.
If I'm sitting in a senior executive's office and I start talking the language of loving kindness and self-compassion, I've got to be fairly careful how I tread that conversation before I'm thrown out of the office. Luckily, I've always got the neuroscience to back me up. But people that are sitting in the highest positions in the most significant companies that are on the outside completely successful, they often are only there because they don't have self-compassion. And it's not to say now I'm going to be gentle on myself and kind to myself and compassionate to myself, I'm now suddenly going to fail. Actually, they become even more successful, but they're not burning out because they're not driven by lack of self-worth, lack of self-trust, not trusting that they'll be okay in the world if they just let go the reins a little and trust others. Because in order to trust others, you first have to trust yourself.
Love it. We're about 17 minutes in. I would love to ask you, if you're comfortable getting into it at this point, just a little bit about, you said you have neuroscience backing you up when you talk about loving kindness and things like that. I would love for you to teach us a little bit about that. Teach us what neuroscience has to share with us about coaching, about self-love, self-awareness, self-trust, and any of those, if you want to just pick on one of those and talk about it, or talk about it in general. I'm happy either way.
I mean, just, at a very high level, and I mean, most people know quite a bit about the brain. It's a popular subject. Coaches are all fascinated by it. But we know that how we wire our subconscious and unconscious processes first is through being conscious and allowing the world to enter into our consciousness. And then we create habits, we create patterns, we create ways of being. And so really, I think what we're talking about here is when we are told or experience not being good enough, not being important, not being worthy, and by the way, most of us do, because we're born to these poor parents that had their own parents. I always say to people, don't go and say to your parents, look at what you've done. But our parents spend their entire lives trying to make the children into a better teenager so that they can have a better adulthood. Instead of being present with the child, discovering the child, allowing the child to make mistakes, and safely, obviously, because the parents are there to create the boundaries, but in a way that really affirms the child. Most children are told, don't be naughty, don't be irresponsible, look after your brother, don't be so selfish, don't get messy, don't mess up. Instead of kids do that. Kids are messy, kids are irresponsible, kids mess up. But I love you, my sweetheart. How do we navigate through it? That loving kindness that is then hardwired into our brains, and we learn to become compassionate to ourselves, whereas usually it's not wired. So it's sometimes what we're doing with our coaching is almost trying to rewire or create a better narrative. And it's not easy, but it's transformational. We know also that our beliefs drive our thinking drives our emotions, and our emotions drive our behavior. So when we're trying to fix our behavior all the time, we're not working at the core root of what it is that makes the profound shift. And that's the level of our identity, all right, who we are, which is usually limited because of the kind of conditioned experiences we have.
Amazing. So when you talk about this kind of shift, this kind of transformation from a certain type of hardwiring that's been kind of drilled into us, and then moving away from that to a more useful, loving, kind way of being with ourselves and with others, what does that shift entail? I mean, is it all just about intentionality and practice, or is there more to it than that? Is like what is it? What does it entail?
And I don't think I could even begin to even touch the first pieces of sand on the beach in terms of what I think it would entail in actual fact. But
Yeah, I just asked you the easiest question I could find.
yeah, I think it's just for people to know that self-compassion is an unbelievably beautiful and empowering space. This is that self-compassion that actually makes you better towards anyone else. Okay, because if you're not compassionate to yourself, how can you be compassionate to your fellow human beings? So it's actually it's a gift of self-love, but it's actually a gift of other love. This lovely podcast, if we've got time quickly, where I listened to this speaker talking about his training as a cardiac surgeon in the United States, and he said we were taught that when somebody has a heart attack, okay, in front of us, we were taught that we first take our own pulse. Why? Because it brings them into the present moment. It calms them down. They're focusing on that, not panicking about what is happening, and then they're better able to serve the patient who's had a heart attack. And I think that's what this is all about. As coaches, we need to do that self-work, be self-compassionate so that we can share that compassion outwards. And Neha, before I sound like I'm some kind of expert or I know it all, the reason that I know this stuff and can talk this stuff is because I have to work and sweat it every day of my life. It's tough, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful journey. And I'm grateful for the difficulties that have forced me to really study and research and learn all of these things, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to share them.
Yeah. Thank you, Colleen. This has been really wonderful. I'm since while I have you here, I guess I can just ask you a very selfish question. Just very self-centered. Me. This is about me. Since I've just started coach training.
Can you see
Sorry.
how our language shows up, our conditioning shows up? This is selfish. I shouldn't
I'm
be
already berating myself for being curious about something and like having the opportunity to talk to you. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for calling me out. I needed that. So yeah, my question is, do you have any advice for me or anyone who's starting on their journey of coach training? You said allow the universe to show you what it is. And I mean, can you help
Yeah,
me with
trust yourself and trust the journey. I remember another one of my trainers. I had, I mean, I've done many different trainings. Said to the students that were new students, the first 100 hours of coaching that you do are going to be a complete waste of time because you'll have no skills. And that was the biggest lie I've ever heard. Neha, trust yourself, because the mere fact that you're giving 5 or 10 or 60 minutes to another human being for them to do some thinking is a gift from the universe itself. And people never do that. And I also believe that you will draw to yourself the people that need you and the people that you need for your development as well. So that's my advice. My advice is don't wait to become a good coach. Just go and coach. Just go and be the gift. Give the gift of the sacred space to anyone who you can give it to. You're going to get more skilled. Those people have got the gift. You learn so much in your coaching. It's just what a wonderful profession we have, truly.
Oh my gosh, I feel so inspired. This is the hat trick of goosebumps during this call. uh, that really that really pumps me up. Thank you, Colleen.
Good, good.
Um,
I'm excited for
yeah,
you. What a
I
beautiful.
think whenever I feel a little bit, if I have doubts along the journey, I'll come back to this video and I'll be able to, get revved up again. You're right. I think it's just about holding that space for someone else and and allowing them to think. That's such a beautiful way to put it.
And I
Yeah, I
love
think.
the synchrony of the universe that you and I weren't supposed to have this conversation, but we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's quite a beautiful coincidence. That's how these things happen, don't they?
Wonderful. Thank you, Neha. It's been a great privilege.
Likewise, Colleen. And I just want to mention to everyone watching this video right now or later, whenever you watch this, that Colleen will be starting a program with us early next year. And I will drop all the details in the comments after the video is done. But
Yeah, really
thank
excited
you.
to be, really
Sorry.
excited to be associated with Kacharya now and to be one of their trainers and running their programs. So that's an enormous privilege for me. I really
Yay.
respect the views of the company. It's
And we are
exciting.
very excited to have you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure after this conversation, I'll probably reach out to you again if I need to, you know? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Colleen. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking out the time. I really appreciate you.
Great pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.